the Count of Monte Cristo's revenge begins. His three enemies have all fallen into his carefully set traps, and they will meet their end in the most tragic ways. Edmund sends Jacopo to find the bandit leader Vampa to participate in his elaborate performance. That evening, he invites his three enemies to his mansion for dinner. Vampa, disguised as a nouveau riche, makes his grand entrance. Edmund introduces him as Count Spada, a friend from Rome. This immediately piques Danglars' interest, who inquires if Spada is related to the late Cardinal Spada. Spada openly admits that the cardinal was his great-uncle. The money-obsessed Danglars had long heard that Cardinal Spada was immensely wealthy and had hidden all his fortune before his death, its whereabouts unknown to this day. Of course, except to Edmund. Spada's next words make Danglars' heart race even faster. Spada claims that months ago, while sorting through his great-uncle's books, he discovered a blank parchment that revealed drawings and text when exposed to flame. Evidently, Edmund had shared Father Faria's story with him.
A map of the hidden treasure.
How did you know Baron Danglars?
Anyone who has studied the history of fortunes and treasures in Europe knows the story of Caesar Spada.
Danglars' eyes gleam with greed as he eagerly inquires about the treasure's location. Spada mysteriously states that he has found the treasure and legally inherited it. Moreover, the money is deposited in a bank in Rome. Verifiable. Danglars is completely hooked, continuously asking questions about this fortune. Edmund deliberately interrupts, reminding him not to discuss money excessively at the dinner table. Unable to contain his curiosity, Danglars insists on asking one last question.
What brings you to Paris?
I'm here to find a wife.
The Danglars couple exchange a knowing glance, both thinking of their marriageable daughter Eugenia. At this moment, Madame Villefort excuses herself to retouch her makeup. Edmund discreetly signals to Haydée, who understands and announces she's going to check on the appetizer's preparation. Unexpectedly, Madame Villefort secretly sneaks into the chemistry laboratory and steals a vial of medicine. After the dinner, Haydée informs Edmund of Madame Villefort's theft. Edmund inspects the laboratory and discovers that Madame Villefort has taken the poison he had previously shown. However, Edmund doesn't appear surprised. Early the next morning, Danglars eagerly visits the Count of Monte Cristo's mansion again. He offers to increase the annual interest rate on the Count's deposit by 1%. Edmund understands the reason for his flattery but feigns curiosity. Danglars laughs it off, claiming he's a generous person. He then steers the conversation towards Count Spada. Danglars has estimated overnight that Cardinal Spada's treasure is worth at least 650 million francs, making him salivate with greed. He's here today to inquire about Count Spada's hobbies and preferences in women. Edmund inwardly sneers but maintains a poker face. He mentions that Count Spada has a keen interest in opera. Danglars is overjoyed, his hand trembling so much he can barely hold his wine glass. Coincidentally, his daughter Eugenia has been studying opera and shows considerable talent.
You know, I was having a little chat with Eugenia earlier. It seems she's not all that attracted to Albert de Morcerf.
Edmund asks if he's considering breaking off Eugenia's engagement to Albert. Danglars is embarrassed but admits it. Edmund smiles silently. Everything is proceeding according to his plan. Soon after, Danglars brings Eugenia and her music teacher Louise to a cafe, coincidentally running into Count Spada. Danglars enthusiastically introduces his daughter to Spada, who puts on a show of praising Eugenia's beauty. Danglars then shoos away the pianist and has his daughter perform a song with Louise accompanying on the piano. Eugenia indeed proves talented, her voice melodious and beautiful. Spada acts completely entranced, as if lost in the music. Danglars is very pleased. Already viewing Spada as his future son-in-law, he tentatively inquires if Spada is interested in railway investments.
Baron, you are disturbing my listening.
The fake Spada's acting satisfies Edmund immensely, and he secretly plans his next move. The next day, Edmund and Spada are invited to the Danglars' home. Danglars eagerly introduces his railway project, showing prepared planning drawings, revenue forecasts, and profit estimates. He's already submitted the project proposal to the Ministry of Interior and expects to receive the concession by next weekend. Edmund can't resist mocking Danglars.
I'm sure Monsieur Debray helped in that regard.
Danglars awkwardly claims that Debray owes him a favor. Spada states he only trusts the Count of Monte Cristo and will invest if the Count does. As Danglars and Edmund discuss the project's feasibility, singing suddenly echoes from upstairs. Learning it's Eugenia practicing opera, Spada eagerly expresses his desire to observe. This plays right into Danglars' hands, and he immediately takes Spada to Eugenia's room, then tactfully leaves. However, as soon as Spada enters, he encounters an awkward scene. He doesn't make a fuss but gestures for them to continue practicing. Edmund is about to fulfill his promise to Albert, helping him escape this unwanted engagement while also pushing Danglars into the abyss. Valentine, Villefort's daughter, is about to hold her engagement ceremony with Franz. Valentine's grandmother, the matriarch of the prestigious Noirtier family, has traveled from afar to Paris. A tragedy is about to unfold. Since Valentine is the child of Villefort and his first wife, her grandmother strongly dislikes Villefort's current wife and their son. She plans to make Valentine the heir to the Noirtier family fortune after her marriage. However, Valentine loves Marx, who has been desperately begging her not to marry Franz. But Valentine cannot defy her father's arrangements. Her grandmother also wants her to marry Franz, as it was her grandfather's hope to strengthen ties with Franz's family. Valentine leaves her grandmother's room with mixed emotions. Madame Villefort, feigning concern, suggests a way for her to avoid the marriage. If Valentine becomes a nun in a convent, no one can force her to marry. But Valentine clearly sees through her stepmother's scheme.
If I entered a convent and took the veil, all of my inheritance would go to my father. And from him, it would go to Edward, his only son. Which is what you want more than anything, isn't it, Eloise?
Seeing her intentions exposed, a flash of malice crosses Madame Villefort's eyes. Before the engagement ceremony begins, Edmund secretly visits the Villefort household, arousing Valentine's curiosity. Edmund expresses his wish to speak with her grandfather. It turns out Edmund intends to help the star-crossed lovers, Valentine and Marx. He has already sent Jacopo and Catullus to investigate a secret of the Noirtier family, planning to use this to persuade old Noirtier to cancel Valentine's engagement. At noon, Franz and Valentine's engagement ceremony proceeds as scheduled, with Albert and the newspaper editor as witnesses. Just as the notary is about to sign, Valentine's grandfather, old Noirtier, requests to inform Franz of something. Unable to speak, he has written a letter revealing a long-buried secret. Old Noirtier and Franz's father, General Epinay, were once friends. At the time, Noirtier was loyal to Napoleon, while Epinay was a royalist. On the eve of the revolution, Epinay attempted to inform on him to the palace, and Noirtier, to stop him, challenged him to a duel, ultimately killing him. Franz is devastated. He cannot blame Noirtier for winning the duel, but he also cannot accept marrying the granddaughter of his father's killer. The engagement ceremony ends in disarray, much to Villefort's fury. However, the turmoil doesn't end there. When Valentine is about to bring tea to her grandmother, Madame Villefort finds an excuse to send her away. She then takes out a vial and drops a few drops into the teapot. Soon after, Valentine's grandmother is found dead in her bedroom, with the doctor identifying strychnine poison in the tea. Villefort immediately recalls the vial of poison the Count of Monte Cristo had shown. All evidence points to Valentine, and she is arrested as a suspect. Madame Villefort smirks at her coldly. Villefort finds the situation very strange. Having searched Valentine's room thoroughly without finding any vial, the inspector's news further agitates him. The inspector had long been watching Catullus, who frequently visits the Count of Monte Cristo's mansion. He discovers that Catullus often goes to the library to research information on 3 people.
You, Monsieur Villefort, the banker, Baron Danglars, and the Count de Morcerf.
Villefort finally realizes that the Count is deliberately getting close to him, but he still doesn't understand the Count's purpose. In anger, he pays the inspector handsomely to thoroughly investigate the Count's intentions. Edmund's revenge has finally reached a crucial moment, yet he hesitates. His plan will inevitably hurt the innocent Mercedes. The conflict between his hatred for Fernand and his love for Mercedes torments Edmund, leaving him sleepless for several nights. Haydée is very concerned about his dejected state. Edmund finally firmly states that he will definitely fulfill his promise to help her take revenge. The next day, Mercedes receives a gift from the Count, a pair of exquisite earrings. She joyfully puts them on immediately. Seeing this, Fernand sarcastically asks if she wants to be the Count's mistress. He also accuses Mercedes of meeting privately with the Count at the ball. Mercedes angrily refutes this, but Fernand slaps her without listening. Eventually, Mercedes has to return the earrings to the Count as Fernand demands. Noticing the bruise on Mercedes' face, Edmund feels heartbroken and inadvertently calls out her name.
Mercedes.
You've never called me that before.
Edmund doesn't answer. He silently takes the earrings from Mercedes' hand. Mercedes can no longer suppress her inner emotions.
Tell me, Count. I've Have you ever truly been in love?
Once.
She didn't wait for you.
She thought I was dead.
Perhaps she's still waiting for you.
No. No, she moved on with her life. She's now a different woman. And I'm a different man.
This pocket watch was an engagement gift Mercedes once gave to her fiancé. She bursts into tears, certain that the man before her is Edmond Dantes, whom she has always loved deeply. Mercedes had long suspected the true identity of the Count of Monte Cristo. Their hearts could still sense each other, but she is now a wife and mother, unsure how to face this love buried for 15 years. She also lacks the courage to acknowledge Edmond, fearing the loss of her current life. From the moment she returns the earrings to Edmond, they become the most familiar strangers to each other. Having let go of his emotional entanglement, the last shackle in Edmond's heart has fallen away. The beast of revenge is about to break out of its cage and devour everything.